If you have any questions, save them for Commander Ikande.
I don't know about you. People who work undercover, they're sneaky by nature. Hard to read. When I fly, I want someone beside me who I can predict. Boxes by the Marquess of Queensbury rules. But you're a southpaw. A wild card. You might. But we aren't at that point yet. And right now, I have my reservations that we'll ever get there. But if Commander Ikande says you're Sistef, then you are one of us. For now. I cut my teeth on space trucks, believe it or not. Before I got my stripes, I was just another cargo hauler trying to earn an honest wage. But after a couple slick escapes, I got recruited to the academy and went from dodging pirates to hunting them. Thing is, some of my best tricks were with a big rig. Ever try a pitchback with a Hope Tech truck with 2 fleet wraiths on your tail? Compared to that, doing it with a military fighter is a piece of cake. Long story. I got my start in the academy and made a name for myself hunting the Crimson Fleet. I eventually got recruited to do test flights on a star station orbiting Lloyden's Rock. Me and 3 other Archangel pilots did some work on some extremely dangerous prototypes. But I called in a few favors and got back home with Sistef. Someone with my talents needs to be here, where the action is. You guessed it. In fact, I'd say you've got what linguistic experts call FOGO, a firm grasp of the obvious. But I'm not just any pilot. I'm the best, and I've got the kills to prove it. You got some set of manners, kid. The fleet are gonna eat you up. So long.
Yes? What?
We'll keep the brig ready for any pirates you bring in. Welcome to the brig. As a member of Sistef, you may talk with the prisoners as long as you are mindful of operation security. As a personal rule, I simply ask that you adhere to UC Navy standards of cleanliness at all times. That means no mud on your boots, your hands are washed, and you are free of any contagious diseases. Besides the fact that it's healthier, a sanitary brig is important for station security. In my experience, a prisoner will hide a shiv under a flake of dust if you let them. The cleaner a space is, the easier it is to spot irregularities, both inside the cell and out. Normally, I'd say trying isn't good enough, but you're Commander Ikande's mole, aren't you? In that case, I'm not going to ask you to blow your cover just for me. I understand being a slob is part of the job, but try not to abuse the privilege. He's a good man, singularly focused when it comes to the fleet. But that's not to say he doesn't care about his crew. I can tell you a story as an example if you'd like to hear it. Usually only when he has business here. But pretty much everyone passes by the brig on their way to other parts of the ship. Given he sees barely a glance of me most days, you'd think he wasn't paying attention. Hence the story, if you've got time. So, I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I forget to take breaks. One day, Commander Ikande passes by the brig and sees me at my desk. He takes one look at my haggard face and says, "Officer, I'm headed to the mess hall. If you're not with me in 15 minutes, your services will no longer be required on my ship." I tried to protest, but he was dead serious. So I went. We had lunch, talked about old times, and I went back to the brig, refreshed and ready to work. It's little things like that. You can see he pays attention, and that he cares about the people, not just the work. We have multiple turrets attached to the ceiling. If you've met Ensign Betty, she's personally calibrated them to ensure they cover the entire area. That being said, firing the turret should be considered a last resort. The cells you see here are for captured pirates and prisoners of war. If you apprehend any pirates during the course of your missions, they'll be detained here. That's a loaded question. We err on the side of caution here, short of any physical abuse. But with the Crimson Fleet, you have to be very careful. If you give them an inch, they'll take a parsec and find a way to stab you with it. Verbally, yes. There's a lot of bad blood with the fleet, stretching across generations, myself included. Sometimes that blood spills over. As long as there's no actual fighting, I tend to let both sides dish it out. True. The rules for POWs technically don't apply to pirates. It's more of an ethical line we have to be mindful of. But I'll be the first to admit it's not an exact science, and we've made mistakes in the past with both the carrot and the stick. As chief officer of this brig, my worst fear is that we'll someday repeat them. You're dismissed.
Hey. Yes? Howdy.
Okay.
We hunt piracy all across the galaxy.
United Colony System Defense at your service.
The fleet killed a buddy of mine. This is more than a job for me. Lost a bet to one of the officers. I've got mob duty now on my birthday. It's gonna suck. I got mess hall duty next week. Everybody's gotta take their turn.
We should team up. Excuse me. Next mission.
Nah, I don't think so.
Why not? It'd be fun.
I work best alone. Okay. Hello?
Sometimes we'll take the long-range fighters out for grav jump and patrol high-traffic orbitals for fleet. Hey.
I meet so many people, and I'm just giving up trying to keep track of them all. So you're the third Charlie I met today. Nice to meet you. Sure. So, I'm doing my rounds, pick up supply drops, and I grab into the Altair system, and oh boy! Spacers all over the damn place. They're distress call, yammering nonstop. Something big's going down there, and all of us with no skin in the game, best we just give it a wide berth. Am I right? Oh, it sounded bad. Real bad. But I had my own problems. I had to plot a course out before the spacers took out my grav drive. Sorry, I'm just not constitutionally capable of the big space fight thing. Charlie 3, you are looking to pay it forward like big time. Oh, I mean, I won't tell you you're crazy, but wow. Bye, Charlie 3. You've been like the best Charlie 3 I talked to all week.
What's up? Did you need my help with something?
Hello, Captain.
Missed the sound of my voice, huh? Sure, ask away. I was raised in Hope Town on Polvo. It's a corporate town run by Ron Hope, the CEO of Hope Tech Manufacturing. He likes to sell it as a utopia, a place where workers are provided everything they need for a happy life. But that's a lie. The conditions are awful for the average person in Hope Town. Almost everyone there lives hand to mouth. Hope Tech is a starship manufacturer. They make cargo freighters and other industrial vehicles. Most of them are clunky eyesores, barely suited for grav jumping. But people keep buying them, so Hope Tech keeps making them. I grew up on the edge of poverty, like most working-class people in Hope Town. My parents' wages from Hope Tech barely kept food on the table. For a long time, I couldn't imagine my life any other way. Ron Hope does a good job making sure his workers feel like they're being cared for. It wasn't until I got old enough to start working in the factories myself that I started to understand how bad things really were. It's Ron Hope's fault. He controls everything that happens in Hope Town. Our entire economy is dependent on him. There's nothing stopping him from increasing wages and improving safety in his factories, but he won't do it. Keeping your workforce poor and plying them with cheap liquor at company stores is a good way to keep them around. I think more people would if they had the chance. But Hope Tech makes it almost impossible. They barely make enough to keep the lights on, let alone start a new life outside of Hope Town. That's why I joined the Freestar Rangers. I knew they'd fly me to Aquila for training, and I wanted to do something more meaningful with my life than building starships. I thought being a ranger would be a perfect fit, but it didn't turn out like I was expecting. Boarding the ship to leave Hope Town might be the best thing that happened to me while I was a deputy. In the stories I heard growing up, the Rangers were always described as the ultimate champions of justice in the galaxy. If you've spent any time in the Freestar Collective, it's obvious that they haven't even made a dent in the problems there. Just look at Neon. Poverty and crime are all over the city, but the Rangers barely bothered to patrol it. Learning that made me reconsider my opinion of them. No apology needed, huh? It's not your fault. For all that working with the Rangers wasn't for me, I still learned a lot. It was eye-opening to see how people live all over the Freestar Collective. I thought the conditions in Hope Town were unique, but leaving Polvo showed me I was wrong about that. It showed me that Ron Hope's attitude isn't unique. The Freestar Collective is full of people willing to take advantage of others to get what they want. And there are barely any systems in place to stop them. No one to tell them no or punish them for it. That's the downside of the Freestar way of doing things, huh? No social safety nets. It's hard for anyone born into poverty to improve their situation, especially with people like Ron Hope and Benjamin Bayou in power. He's the administrator of Neon. He basically owns the city. I like to say that not a credit gets spent on Volai Alpha that doesn't end up in Bayou's pocket. I feel sorry for anyone who has to grow up there. Povo was bad, but at least we didn't have violent gangs. You're not alone. Most Freestars aren't very good at introspection. I took plenty of flack for criticizing the Rangers before I left the Freestar Collective behind. The longer I spent with the Rangers, the more I started to feel like they served the Freestar Collective's government more than its citizens. I couldn't make peace with the fact that an organization that claimed to stand for freedom and individuality let places like Hopetown exist. Eventually, the hypocrisy was too much. I made the decision to resign and move to the UC. It seemed like people there might share more of my views. There's a reason the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective have never quite seen eye to eye. They do things very differently. The UC provides services like healthcare and job placement for its citizens. Those kind of things don't exist in the Freestar Collective. My opinions about the government's responsibility to its citizens seem to fit better with the UC's way of doing things. It was the right decision, but it wasn't an easy one. My family is still in Hopetown. That was almost enough to keep me from leaving the Freestar Collective. But I had my mind set on finding a better place for all of us. I've been trying to find my parents a way out of Hopetown for years. I thought if I moved to the UC and found out things were better there, they might finally be willing to consider it. I thought I did, at first. New Atlantis is clean and safe, and most of the people there are happy. And it seemed like the government was doing a lot to keep it that way. But my perspective changed after I took an entry-level job with UC Security. They stationed me in the well. I couldn't believe the conditions down there. It made all the UC talk of a perfect society seem like propaganda. The more I started looking around, the more cracks I saw in the whole thing. The UC makes a show of promising job placement and housing options to all its citizens. But if those programs exist in the well, there's no sign of them. Most people down there live in the same conditions I saw in Hopetown. There's crime and unemployment, and a lack of good medical care. It's nothing like the rest of New Atlantis. But you'd never know that from the outside, of course. I think the UC government doesn't like people challenging its decisions, or remembering its history in too much detail. Mast did some horrific things during the Colony War. They'd rather people forget about them, especially citizens who might start demanding a change. The best way to maintain the status quo is to keep people from examining things closely. Consistent propaganda is a good tool for that. Their treatment of the soul system to begin with. It's one of humanity's greatest treasures, and they've let it fall into total disarray. The UC's insistence on maintaining a large and well-equipped military is also a bit off-putting. If they're committed to intergalactic peace, why do they need it? Those are the kind of questions you almost never hear UC citizens ask. I think that comes down to good marketing on Mast's part. It all seems just a little bit too shiny when you really start to look closely, huh? I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks so. Once the wool fell from my eyes, living in New Atlantis lost its luster. That's when I decided life in the major factions wasn't for me. The problems run too deep. There's corruption and division everywhere, and not enough people are willing to see it. I don't think that will change anytime soon. It seems to me like the only option is starting over, huh? Founding a colony without the influence of massive governments and corporations. Maybe people would be kinder to each other in a place like that. I've always tried to see the best in people. I really believe that the average person wants what's best for everyone around them. I think without the influence of big governments and greedy corporations, people will treat each other better. You read my mind, Captain. You're really getting to know me, huh? I've been thinking about the idea of founding my own settlement for a while. It isn't in my nature to sit around while the problems in the settled systems get worse. But I'm not rushing into anything. If I'm really going to do this, I need to get a better sense of how people live all over the settled systems. That means visiting the major cities and looking at both the good things and the bad. That way, I can decide what things I want to keep and what I am going to leave behind. Good thing I'm working for a captain that likes to travel, huh? We'll hit all the major cities in no time. I appreciate it. And don't you worry, I won't let this distract me from my normal duties. You're still the boss. Let's talk again soon, huh?
The enemy may be attempting to evade my sensors. I am initiating a search pattern. My search pattern is complete. Help. No. Hostiles in the area. Be advised that this is now a combat zone. System failure. You need to leave this area immediately. I am opening fire.
Not friends. If you fall into one of the mine shafts, you're on your own. What I wouldn't give to be knocking back a cold one at the hitching post right now.
Move along. I'm counting the minutes until my contract's up. If you want to chit-chat, find the boss. Some of us
It would be advisable to vacate this area.
expecting a visitor. Something I can help you with? Mining raw materials for ship parts. I think. Consolidated Mining doesn't tell their supervisors much. Mining raw materials for ship parts. I think. Consolidated Mining doesn't tell their supervisors much. Well, always could use a hand. Current details are listed on the mission terminal. Help yourself. Later.
If I run out of gummy bugs, there's gonna be a riot. Shop's open, if you want to take a look. I like him. He's a funny guy, and he knows a ton about geology. He's not exactly hard on the eyes either. But don't tell him I said that. I don't want to make things weird. It's nothing special, but I'll keep showing up as long as they keep paying me. It beats making my way behind a desk anyway. You got it. Good luck out there. I've been stationed in worse places than this, but not many.
Don't let the boss fool you. People like me do the real work around here.
Keep away from the equipment. We don't have a medic on staff.
Watch your step. You don't want to end up on the wrong side of a blasting cap. I don't know how many more of these contracts I have in me.
Welcome back, Captain.
Ready to head out there? Or did you still need time on your own? We'll need to head to Mast. Check in with the Vanguard recruiting office where my contact works. And listen, whatever you were before, or whatever you do once you're out there, I don't care. So long as you don't bring UC security to our doorstep. Every member of Constellation is their own conscience. Understood? I mean, Constellation has a roster of members who haven't always been on the right side of their respective society. We're risk takers. Some of us have seen the inside of a jail cell more than once. If you join us, it means you're committed to our mission. In exchange, we give you latitude in your choice of means. Good. Let's take a little stroll through New Atlantis, shall we? We need to talk to John Tuala in Mast. You can thank Barrett for that, if he's still around to thank when this is all said and done. Honestly, he took this seriously before any of us. It was at his urging that we started doing deep space scans. I will admit, it was something of a shock to see Barrett taking anything seriously. So long.